This is the test discussion for test number 5, part B of Gallant IAS Academy. We are discussing the case studies of ethics paper here. And in the first case study, this is about the dilemma faced by the government officer facing difficulties in decision making. Whenever we are addressing a case study, we need to start by an introduction. And it is given here, portrays the situation of a government officer facing difficulties in decision making. After that, we need to introduce the stakeholders, various stakeholders who are them, MFCC, Ministry of Highway, Prime Minister Office, tribal communities, along with we need to introduce public also here. And the first sub-question is about the ethical dilemmas faced by the government officer in the situation. And we need to address them, such as the environmentalism versus development pressure. And whenever we are giving a key point, we need to substantiate it by a one-liner, given such that the threatens biodiversity and animals under protected area. And the second ethical dilemma is the rule of law versus superior guidelines. We need to substantiate also secrecy versus transparency. These are the keywords to be introduced as a ethical dilemmas in this situation. The second sub-question is about how the situations justifies the systemic corruption. So we can explain about the minor compromises for growth. The keywords are already given in the case study itself. Minor compromises are inevitable. And there are ends justify means situation for development and environmental conservation ideologies being compromised here. Political corporate nexus also is a also justifies the systemic corruption. And the third sub-question is about the course of action as a deputy secretary. We can include various steps to be taken by the deputy secretary. That documentation is the first step to be done, and report all irregularities. Respond truthfully to RTA queries. Inform Central Vigilance Commission about the corruption being taken place here, and advocate for independent review of the environmental impact assessment, and tribal consultation also is a step to be taken here. Okay, and in the last part, we need to conclude about the various moral values or ethical values, philosophies to be focused while decision making being done by the deputy secretary. Okay. So in this case study, we are already highlighted the key points as well as the ethical issues already in the red bold letters. So you can take them into the answer also. The second question is about the dilemmas faced by the district magistrate in decision making regarding the enforcement of legally sanctioned project. So we need to give an introduction. Stakeholders are explained, and the first question is about the ethical dilemmas. And we can include procedural justice versus ethical oversight, law enforcement versus civil liberties, professional integrity versus political pressure, livelihood versus development, etc. And the second question is about the conflicting values presented in the case study. Okay. While we are addressing the question, we can focus on the keywords presented here also in the case study itself. So we can add economic growth versus sustainability, state authority versus tribal rights, etc. And the third conflicting value is the cultural events for the protection of sacred groves and assessment of the projects also. And the third sub-question is about the course of action to be taken. We can include them in an orderly manner. The fifth question is comparatively simpler in this case study in the exam itself, because it's already familiar to all of us, because the issues such as the judicial activism as well as judicial overreach. These are the key points to be addressed here. And in the answer, you can include a definition about judicial activism. Stakeholders can be addressed. And the first question is about the ethical and constitutional issues. The key issues are already presented in the case study itself in the red bold letters. You can take them, such as separation of powers is already explained here. undermine the principle of separation of powers, weaken democratic accountability, fills the gap left by legislative and executive inaction, etc. So separation of power is the first ethical and constitutional issue. Judicial overreach versus judicial review is the second one. Democratic accountability, and fourth one is the protection of fundamental rights also. We can include any case laws related to that, such as the Yeshwananda Bharati case or Navadej Johar Singh case regarding the IPC section of 377, etc. into your answer to enrich your answer. And the second sub-question is about the consequences of democracy and governance. We can include undermining the executive authority is a consequence, erosion of public confidence in institutions, judicial backlog also increases. You can add any substantiating data or facts also to explain about the judicial backlog. The third question is about the approach of his senior civil servant. You can include respect to judicial pronouncement, constructive engagement with the judiciary, promote evidence-based policy making, etc. And you can include a concluding part also, such as the democracy thrives on institutional harmony. You can include some keywords to address the issue also. So in the end, we need to mainly focus on some factors while we are addressing the case study part. So the first part to be addressed in any case study given for the UPSC examination, the first part to be the introduction. We need to address the key issue here, or the situation or the ethical dilemmas faced by the whoever is the executive body or the officer. So we need to introduce it by in one or two lines, and in the second part we need to include the stakeholders as a wordson, and after that we need to address the sub questions A, B, C, and in the last part we can include the conclusion also. So this is the general framework while we are addressing a case study in ethics paper. Okay, this will fetch you more marks for in the case study part also. Okay, thank you.
Gallant IAS, chasing your passion to ace.